What was the last book that you read that changed the way that you saw something?
Oh, a great question too. So I typically do not like business books. I find them boring and too long. But I read something recently, which I don't even consider to be a business book. A book called...
It doesn't have to be a business book, by the way. It
Yeah.
could be about... Adrian, who I talked to, said he read a book about ants. So
Totally, and I know that book, and he told me about it, and it's on my list. But just being honest about it, the last thing I read that really changed my mind on something happened to be a business book.
Gotcha.
Although actually, can I give you two answers?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so one of them was a business book called Turn the Ship Around, which is a wonderful book by this guy named David Marquet, who was a captain on a nuclear sub, and he was brought in to turn the worst sub in the Navy around, turn it from the worst sub in the Navy to the best. And the way they measured this was sailor satisfaction, people who wanted to sail on that ship again. There's a variety of things. I don't remember all the details, but it was like let's say there was 100 of them. It was number 100, the worst.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay? And they brought him in to make it great, and he did it by doing something extremely contrarian. So in the military, it's all about orders. You give orders.
Yes.
And business is often structured a lot like military. There's the orders come from the CEO and we all follow the orders, right? And he realized that look, there's 800 people on this ship. I'm, one of those 800. If I'm the one giving orders, then there's only one brain on the ship. It's mine. And what a terrible waste to have 800 brains, but only one of them has to work. And everyone else just does what I say. That is a waste. So he decided not to give any orders, which is something the military you don't do. It's the opposite of what you do. The only order.
This sounds like a great book.
It's a wonderful book, and it's a great story, and he tells it. It's not a business book at all, by the way. It's not at all, but it's sort of
lots of parallels.
Tons of parallels, but it's not a business book. But he talks about how the only order he reserved for himself was the order to fire a weapon that could kill somebody. So that, if they had to fire a torpedo, that was still on him.
Yeah.
Everything else, what he did was, he said, and it took him a while to get over, to make this work, which is what's really cool about the book, is he was very honest about the failings of it initially. He wanted to, after he enacted the system, he's everything in his bones told him, step in and fix these problems, but he's no, I gotta let this settle out the way I want it to. Anyway, was that people were not to come, so the way it typically worked is people would come to him and they'd say, Captain, what should I do, or whatever it is, and he'd be turn the ship 30 degrees starboard, or whatever, I don't know, and they'd be aye, aye, Captain, and they'd go do it, right? He'd give the order, but what he wanted people to do instead was to come to him and say, I intend to turn the ship 30 degrees, and then he could okay that, but the point is that his okay would just, they're already saying what they're going to do. Mm-hmm. They have to, in their mind, already know what they're going to do. They can't come to him to ask him what to do. They have to come to him and tell him what they intend to do.
They have to go through that whole mental process of
because if he says yes, I got to do this now.
Yeah.
And I came to him with the idea. So he got people to come with intent.
Accountability there.
Totally.
Well.
And think it through and come with intent. And
ownership.
That changed everything. Totally.
Yeah.
And they started thinking. And it took a while because it was weird at first. And this is part of the thing is whenever you enact something new at a company, it's very easy to fall back on this isn't going to work. This is too weird. I'm going to. But he talked about the process of getting over that and giving it space and distance to see if it would work. And it turned out it worked and became the best ship in the Navy.
Oh, that's a great book.
It's a wonderful book.
I will
He's a
read
wonderful
that book.
writer and a very honest storyteller. So there's that book, and the other book is a book which